But yeah, so let's we're gonna pretend nothing happened. We definitely didn't have technical issues. So
Not at
yeah,
all.
so the kind of the key thing about this kind of game is the Vayne, as we already just discussed, is entirely single target damage. So
Right.
you can basically just punish the Swain instead because he's immobile. So what we should be looking to do is get a early kind of cheater, but then instead of recalling, you move to mid. As we previously discussed. So again, you want to only look to match damage in the first wave and then slow push the second.
Right.
When the cannon gets there, you can then crash it, but you want to wait until that cannon to get there. Otherwise, the wave will be too thin to crash, and you won't get
Right.
that really big build up. So the
So
reason,
by match damage, sorry, but by match damage, you mean just the same damage that Vayne is doing to my wave,
yeah.
or
So if Vayne does an
okay, I see.
auto, you'll do an auto. If she does an
Okay.
auto, you'll do an auto. You want to kind
Right.
of keep it somewhat even, because if you put too much into it, what will happen is what actually happened this game. You'll end up crashing it. But you ended up crashing second wave, which meant then you couldn't really do anything in third. So one of the reasons
Right.
why it's really important as well is because what happens is because we crash such a big line, because we crash such a big wave, we end up in this kind of position where the minions will stack very, very heavily, like
Right
in
at the
this
tower.
area. Yeah, and then we get
Yeah.
this huge wave coming back. But the more minions that we get into the tower, the better the wave will come as it comes back into us.
Right.
And if we get like a flash out of the Swain, then that's more than enough. Like, we're not looking to walk up mid lane, get a kill on him, fine. We're looking to walk up, get like a flash out of him, and then that's it. Now, obviously, this can be a little bit harder in a solo queue environment because your support might not come. But another point actually that I did want to mention is when we are playing into a lane that is very heavily impacted by what we do. Ideally, we don't want to leash, but we might tilt the Warwick a little bit too much there. But what we want to
Right.
do is we want to keep our leash timers very short. So you never really want to be hard leashing too much past 135. So at this
Okay.
135 mark, that's when you really want to look to go for a hard pull. So say for example, if we're in a lane where we're never gonna win. So say for example, if we're playing into Ash Zyra or like Draven Brand or something like that, we can leash
Right.
till maybe like 39, and that's okay because we're not going to win that lane anyway. But anything
Mhm.
more than that is way way too much.
Okay.
You don't really want to go too far. So here you can see 135 went, and then 139 comes, and we're leaving at 140, which that
Right.
1 second might not seem like much, but it lost you a minion, right? Like of gold anyway.
Right.
And
Okay.
also it means that you had to use rocket for the first minions, which isn't
Right.
isn't the
Missed
end of the
one.
world, but it's
Two.
still things. So yeah, so
Right.
39, you want to be leaving and away by 39 at the very very latest. If you stick to that timer, you'll never lose that first minion. So here,
Mhm.
do you see how this
I'm just
wave?
pushing it.
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
kind of issue we have. So one of the things that
Right.
you don't want to get into the hang of with ADC is just always hitting the wave. What you want to do,
Blindly autoing. Yeah.
yeah, you want to kind of say to yourself before you get into the lane, like, what do I actually want to do here, and what do I want to achieve? And then by knowing
Mhm.
that, you'll know. Thinking now, another thing obviously is the fact that the Warwick started a red buff, means that he's pathing away from your lane. So having the
Yeah,
wave
and they also
pushed
have a
in,
Lisa.
yeah,
So.
exactly. Which we do have vision on his red buff, so we know. But again, he might look to choose bot. Like he can three camp into bot. It's bad, but it does happen. But here,
Right.
see, we've put way too much damage into the wave early, and so we're now in this kind of position where. So first thing as well, like, don't panic with the minions as much. And this is also kind of a thing with your camera control, right? So this is one thing that we
Right.
previously mentioned is your camera being unlocked all the time is actually hindering you more than you think because so the
Mhm.
like the analogy that I like using is if you're playing chess, what do you move?
Right,
you move
your
the
hand for the
piece.
piece.
Yeah, so you use a piece, right? You don't really move the board whenever you want to do anything, but playing unlocked is kind of like you're moving the board around constantly. So it
Hmm.
ends up making things harder for you because let's say, for example, you want to auto this minion, right? Say we want to get this one. What we can do is if we're on unlocked cam, we know exactly where our mouse needs to move to before it gets anywhere low, right? So it
Right.
becomes very easy to go, okay, this is there. We know it's always going to be here. But because you're on locked cam, 1 minute that minion's here, and then if we play, oh well, let's use another one for an example. So let's say this one. Now if we play, it's now no longer there. You know, it's not in that
Right.
area. So it helps a lot. And also again, like this area right like back here isn't actually providing anything, and you're not really gaining any information at all from that, whereas they're up here, so they're the main kind of focal point of the lane, so it helps a lot. Now obviously here, because we put too much damage, the cannon wave is on its way, but now we've given them the opportunity to clear this wave out before the cannon gets here.
Right.
So now we can't really do anything here. And even though we do know Lee Sin is towards top side, you know, we don't know for certain anymore. Obviously, it would be a little bit grief if you came bot, but sometimes what you'll find is in these elos, a lot of players will do things that are unexpected in order to catch you off guard, right? So, like for example, I remember the first season I got diamond. What I do is I take actually, I still do this now. To be honest, sometimes what I'll do is, for example, is if I'm playing like Rammus, I'll take. So let's say we're on say red side. I'll take like all top side, and then I'll go and gank top. Because they won't expect it, right? Because they give me a pull, so they'll think, okay, they're not going to come. I'll kill,
Right.
reset, and then use Q to get out of base with boots, and then get to my blue buff before they manage to take it. So
Mm.
obviously, it's a little bit unique to Rammus, but again, like these like little minute strategies exist very heavily within kind of platinum, and they can be really really
Right.
effective at shutting you down early. Obviously, we do
Okay.
see Lee Sin up top there now, but so Leona used her E there.
Right, but that was what, fourth wave. He
Yeah.
could have come down anyway.
Uh-huh.
It's
So
really.
actually, yeah. So this was kind of one of the things as well. So right here, we would have been crashing the wave with the cannon around this point, right? So at this point,
Right.
this would be into the tower. And because what we do is we'd hard push this, we'd use our mana, which we're full on, and we just hard push it. And then this is where we'd start to walk up into mid lane. So this game actually would have been incredibly valuable because we'd be walking to this fight. I mean, at this point, really. And then we'd be there to clean up what actually happens, right? Because it doesn't take
Right.
that long for us to walk into mid lane. So we'd be walking up at this point, and we could basically turn this 2v2 into a 2v4 for them. So it could have
Hmm.
been, you know, really, really handy. So you will be seeing a lot of Vaynes lately. So it's, you know,
Right.
it's going to be something valuable because obviously Vayne is going to be pick ban at the moment. So it's something that if they pick Vayne, you can look to do it, and you'll be able to punish her mid laner every single time with something as simple as like a rotation, you know.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so now this is fine because Lee Sin's top, so we can actually continue to force this in. So what we'd look to do is use Q on the kind of backline more, because what we want to do is we don't want to leave this Vayne to have this much freedom within the laning phase. And what you can do is Jinx's Q, because of the splash damage, you get extra range if she's going to sit in minions like this, right? Because say for
Right.
example, if you hit this minion, the damage is still going to splash onto her. So even though
Hmm.
your range is going to be to here, it's actually going to be extra. So you can abuse that splash damage to get massive amounts of range on Jinx, and it's kind of one
We
of the
also have
reasons
a
why.
Morgana.
Yeah, exactly. So
So.
if Leona jumps on you, it doesn't really matter. Like this is kind of one of them lanes where you have a lot of freedom to just kind of hard aggress them, but we didn't really do it enough, especially because you know, Vayne, Leona, it can be strong, but we counter them with a Morg. Morg is extremely underrated in my opinion. She's very very strong. So this I think was where we made a little bit of a
Yeah,
blunder.
it's
Yeah.
right here.
So right here,
It's,
so one of the issues with this is the fact that we we didn't necessarily understand that she was in kill range, right? So this kind of
Right.
comes with experience on the champion, but it's still like right here we know that the way that this Morgana's positioned, we need to be playing parallel to her. So right here, this Vayne is in a very difficult position because as soon as she walks away from these minions, she's in range to get queued by the Morg. So what we need to be doing is instead of being clicking back here and kind of walking this way, we actually want to be kind of
Be further.
parallel with the Morg, yes. So in this
Hmm.
area, so that if she lands that bind, we can instantly E. We can then walk around the minions here to W, and then this Vayne 100% dies here. She really,
Right.
really hard grease it.
Think in my head, I just saw I was right there next to the wall, and I
Yeah,
was like, okay, I don't want to path any further against a Vayne, but I was full. She was a quarter HP,
yeah.
so
You're
it's
also
pretty
black
clear.
shielded.
Yeah, I was black shielded too,
So
so
this again, this is kind of one of the keys to Morgana, and she actually played this well because if we walk
mm,
up here right now, we're black shielded, so she can't actually E us anyway.
right.
And if we just pop E on her like this, it's gonna be chained with the Morgana Q, and she's gonna get squashed. Like you're very
Yeah.
strong, and you have a huge HP advantage here.
Hmm.
I mean, the Morg did kind of tilt a little bit, but I mean, don't worry
Right.
about it. It's whatever.
Like
Like,
I knew she was like pretty valid in what she was pinging me
yeah,
for, but I just didn't want to
yeah,
tilt
it's
myself.
still
So
stupid. Like, there's no point in tilting that
yeah,
hard. So we did kind of get caught by the Leona, which
and just blew everything.
Morgana's E was on cooldown.
And a bad
So
E
yeah,
too.
E was a little bit bad. So your E has a little bit of a delay, so you always want to kind of throw
Right.
it in the area that they want to come to. So right here, this is where you should have just instantly
I should have
E'd.
thrown E.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you just run down this way and get away. Like if you have to
And I'm
use your
also
HP. Yep.
hmm,
I was gonna say if you have to use your heal for movement speed, do it, but
right.
ideally you don't want to.
And I'm just kind of used to using. Yeah, I'm like pretty bad at using my E defensively, or I guess just in
Yeah.
general. But
I mean,
like usually when
to be fair, E on Jinx is probably one of the harder parts to a kit, because it does so much, right? It also grounds them. So if, say, for example, you put your E down and the Lee Sin gets a Q on you, if he reactivates his Q and he's like over the traps, he'll get grounded by them and they'll still go off.
right,
So they ground airborne units too, which is one of the reasons why they're so good. So here, so was kind of, I think this is the point anyway. This was down to macro, right? So right
right,
here, again, we previously discussed Vayne is entirely single target, right? So what that means is if we manage to get a really, really big wave into her when she's under a tower and we've got, say, wards down, sufficient vision, then what we can do is we can use this huge wave to actually poke her down. And she can never respond, right? Because if she does, she's going to lose minions, and that's good for us. So, what you want to do a lot of the times, especially to climb through these elos, is you have to kind of make them. You have to create an environment where they have to make a decision, so that they can't just like autopilot, right? So if you're making the Vayne decide between a minion or you, then she's going to be a little bit thrown off, and you're going to be able to get a lot of pressure. So it's kind of
right.
like anytime you can force them into making decisions is always good in these elos.
Yeah, I think that's a different sort of. I don't know how to put it, but just I guess perspective is I don't look at my minions enough when playing lane against ADCs because I know you can deny like and trade like really well if you're
Yeah,
trading in like with like low minions.
yeah.
But I just
So
don't look at that enough.
yeah, so your minions are your best friend. They're
Right.
extremely kind of powerful. Like they do so much damage, especially right here. Right, you've got like 4, 5, 6 casters and a cannon. Like this is a
Hmm.
ridiculous amount of damage in the wave at the minute. So it's like even here, like we're playing really, really far back when we don't really need to. Like we shouldn't really be back here when our wave's this big. We should be up
Right.
here kind of pressuring, especially considering this cannon is dropping low. At this point, we want to be basically saying, okay, well, we're going to look to potentially do damage to the Vayne as soon as she tries to get to the cannon, right? So
Right. And I know a lot of ADCs are stubborn too. They'll just walk up and
Oh yeah,
augment it
they'll just
anyway,
go for it.
regardless
Yeah,
of
they'll go for it, and then you
consequences.
get like 2, 3, 4 auto attacks into them. So like here, for
Mm,
example, this was kind of a bad time to ward because
right.
the wave is already pretty big, and it's gonna crash no matter what, right? So you're basically giving the Vayne space to kind of trim this wave
Push
down
it
and the
back.
Leona,
Yeah.
yeah, instead of kind of punishing. Now another thing that you can do as well. Okay, I can't remember what happened here. Oh, she flashed, so this was good. Because another thing you can do as well, so that you don't give up pressure whilst warding, is see this little like nook here.
Yeah.
If you stand in there and see how there's like 2 little waterfalls.
Oh yeah, you can ward all
Yeah,
the way
if you
across. Yeah.
have your mouse here, it'll just ward here for you,
Okay.
so you can
I have to
keep
keep that in
pressure.
mind because I've done that before. I just didn't really
Yeah,
know
it's
how.
very very good. There's also one around this corner where if you go by the wall, there's a little rock, but it's
Mm,
it's a way to ward Tribush from the other side, but it takes a lot of time because you have to zoom in and such. But this was fine. But see here how we didn't really know what was happening with the Vayne until we unlocked our cam and moved it.
right, because of the camera.
Yeah. So we didn't actually know how low we got her. And also here, kind of, we probably should have. So as soon as this wave starts crashing here, this is where we should move to the dragon. Because,
Mm,
like, okay, sure, we can do a lot of pressure here, but the Vayne is under tower and the Warwick's doing dragon, which he is doing it alone, but, you know, we're not really going to get that much here. And a dragon, especially a hex dragon, is worth it. I mean, any dragon's kind of nice, right? Like, because, yeah, I only had like 1.9k, but here at this point we can't go up anymore, so we just have to go back to the wave and
right.
just sort that out instead.
And then I was kind of lost because I
Yeah,
didn't want to get pinched by Swain, but
and Leona as well.
yeah.
But yeah, so here, like, this is a point where, like, we're just giving Vayne so much space. When she's
Okay.
this low, we just never really want her. Because she managed to get this cannon, and there's nothing we could do about it, right?
Mm,
Because we weren't really here. So, like, in that position, the objective's already gone. Um,
right.
we're not going to be able to do anything. Like, if, say, for example, we could contest it, though, one thing to remember is Jinx's passive will go off, even if you're just around the objective. So, even if
Right.
your team doesn't get it, you still get passive, so you can potentially have really big fights in those situations. That wasn't a situation for it, but, you know, just in general. So here, so this is where we had to be decisive here because we need 1100 gold for our boots. And the Vayne is super low, so she's either going to still be in the lane, very low, or she's going to reset, right? So at this point, we just instantly go for the plate. We get the plate, and then we come and recall instantly. Whereas instead, we kind of... Also another thing, how many fingers do you play with? Where's your pinky finger on your keyboard?
My pinky's on Q W or
Okay,
yeah, it's Q and
so
then
what
Q W
that's
E
fine,
R.
that's
Yeah.
fine. So one thing to do is don't level up with clicks.
Right. Shift
Um,
U W E R.
well, control is
Oh yeah,
standard.
control. Right.
So what you want to do is you see how the kind of side of your hand sort of rests over control.
Right.
What you want to do is you want to kind of put pressure on that side of your hand and then just click the
I
ability as
see.
if you know you're using it.
Okay.
And it'll mean that even though you play with pinky on Q, it doesn't really matter because I play pinky on
Okay.
Q as well. So.
Right.
But yeah, so here now it's like super risky, right? Like, because we're like, oh, is Leona gonna jump on us? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and now we get a really bad recall because this next wave is a cannon. So now we've kind of missed our window to get a reset off. So why do you think it was important that we got that reset off in the exact timing that we just discussed?
I'm not sure.
So this Vayne is reset, and actually I don't know what our CS compared to her was.
I think it
Um,
goes up maybe 10, but
Oh, so yeah, that's fine. Like we still got an advantage. So what would happen is if we reset, spend this gold, and then we're back on the map as soon as possible, we can actually aggress her on this cannon, and we have all of our gold spent, right? Whereas right here,
right.
it's like,
Item advantage.
yeah, she's reset and spent her gold. So now our pressure when this cannon comes isn't anywhere near as big.
Mm. Okay.
But this wave is pulling in anyway, so And see, we kind of lost an opportunity to go hard because we're level 6 and she's level 5. And then she ends up engaging because she has an item advantage. Like, I don't know why she ran all this way around in the alcove. It's kind of weird, but...
Yeah, this was awkward.
But yeah. So this was okay. So our ult was kind of rough.
A little wide.
Yeah, a little. Otherwise, that would have been a kill. But yeah, like we just got kills even with an item deficit. So. And yeah, you may as well push this next wave, right? Because she's definitely not going to be here, and you do have mana to do it. So when you want to hard push as well, what you want to do is use your rockets on the back line.
Yeah, keep the back line.
Yeah, because that'll also keep your wave as healthy as possible, which means then it'll survive under the tower longer, which means you'll get a bigger wave coming back into you, and it's just kind of like a knock-on effect.
Right.
So we get our boots, which is good. And then we come back, and as you can see, like, Vayne just can't crash the wave. Like, so this is the thing, this Vayne wasn't really playing her champion properly, so you can tell that she's just picked it up, because as Vayne, you always look for slow pushes. I mean, as most ADCs, you always look for slow pushes unless you need prio. But yeah. Next thing as well is when it comes to minions on the tower, you don't want to tag any of them by accident. So, like this one, see, we autoed it once, that means that we can't get it. So it's like that initial auto, you just want to wait, like, especially when there's no minions, like, targeting them. Just wait 2 tower hits, and then the auto, and just kind of go from there.
Right.
This was a little bit brief, but...
Yeah, that was...
But I think we actually...
A little bit of face check.
Got quite a bit of it, yeah. They kind of, well, they really, really overcommitted, and we ended up...
Yeah, they threw, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it worked out okay, but, yeah, like, we kind of worked in a bit of an odd situation. So, yeah, well, like, so this is the thing as well. Kraken Slayer right now is like a ridiculously powerful item because of the durability changes. But when you're playing into a Leona, a Swain, a Fiora, like, you just can't. Like, even though, like, it's better to do less damage with Gale Force, but survive longer and be able to actually do something than it is to do more with Kraken and just get instantly blown up. So this is why we've alternated our runes a little bit. So if you're going to go for Gale Force, you can go Taste of Blood with the Ingenious Hunter. Yeah, and it reduces your Gale Force from 110 seconds to only 73. So we end up with a huge kind of advantage because, I mean, 73 is nothing, right? Like in comparison, anyway. It's like 33.33% reduction. So Vayne actually knew the ward, which is kind of funny. So this was a bit weird, but again, just whack E down straight away.
Right.
And then
especially after that leak use.
And then you kind of want to keep range as well. So another thing to note is that your W range on... Actually, we'll wait until you go to use W again, and we'll show you. Which you'll use it soon, I think. Okay. Oop. Okay. So you used it there. We just want to get it for the indicator, just for another point. Okay, so your W range here, this part here, the maximum range of your W is the maximum damage your ultimate will do. So when you're using your ult...
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So when you want to use your ult, you always want to make sure that they're at least just out of your W range. And if so, it'll do the maximum amount of damage every single time. So when you're in kind of team fights, stuff like that, use your W as kind of like a way to... kind of know when you're going to get the maximum out of your ultimate, because your usage with your ultimate is always super important with Jinx.
Right.
Like, obviously here, nothing we did would have helped, but...
Yeah. Probably should have just ran there.
Yeah. We kind of go back in, and then we get flashed on.
I know.
Yeah.
Thought I had the Lee Sin, get the passive, but no.
No, unfortunately not. So yeah, the mid jungle was very good for them. I'm not gonna lie, played it pretty well. But yeah, so So here we're just kind of trying to get this tower. Try and use our damage. We see Swain W, which, you know, he has to be coming. There's no way he
Right.
isn't. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't come this time, sorry. It was just a grief W.
Yeah.
Like, usually there's no real reason for him to use W like that, but I guess
Right.
in that situation he did. Like this Morgana, it was a little bit tilted. It's fine though. Like this game is still very easily winnable even at this point. There was a few fights that if we just played it a little bit better, then we would have got a lot off. So here as well, again, we don't really want to just randomly hit that cannon because we want it to stall there so that the wave will kind of wait. And then we can push it, right? So even though we're never
Right.
going to get a freeze in that situation, a slow push is always more powerful. Because right here, like, now the wave is in a position where, okay, it's going to slow push eventually, but it's going to be it's going to be such a slow push that it's
Right.
really not worth anything, you know? So the closer to your
I'm also
tower
pushing it
we get,
harder anyway,
yeah.
so.
Because, yeah, the next wave is a cannon as well, so...
Mhm.
Because now, see, we're in a position where the wave is under the tower, but we have no vision on the map, so it's
Mhm.
super risky. So here, because the wave is so doomed, you just want to get it cleared off as quick as possible. So you wanted to just switch to your rockets here and just clear it away.
Right.
Just because it's already super low because Morgana used a pool. And also, you know, we're not really going to do that much with the wave there, so...
Right.
Here, the Lee is... Well, yeah, he was here. But...
I gotta blow everything
Yeah.
here.
So the thing is with this situation is we kind of knew Lee was here because it's like why would she be walking up otherwise? So here
Right.
we just want to get ready to instantly flash.
Flash, okay.
Yeah.
And also zero vision whatsoever.
Yeah. So we instantly flash. We get E like here it'd be, so that the
Right.
Lee Sin can't queue through, and then we just kind of kite it back. We get one kill and we kill all three here.
Right.
So here we get the flash off, which was fine. But so see the issue here. This was actually okay. We were going to escape, but we kind
Right,
of
but I
messed it
pathed
up.
up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
here it's like we get the movement speed, we get our flash off. Here, like all we have to do is just run this way.
Yeah.
So run this way, pop your potion, and then you're fine. Because this potion at this point, like it doesn't really do that much. But in this situation, it
No.
would have been okay. So you just want to walk away. But again, because we clicked up once, we're in range for the Lee Sin to just WE. But then also, if we'd have popped this potion, maybe he wouldn't have killed us also.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that was kind of one of the situations. Because we lost our tower there as well, which is kind of rough because now we're on the back foot in comparison to them.
Right.
But you just want to get this pushed. Swain is mid, they're reset, so we just want to go for this tower now. And so we don't really want to see how we kind of stall here, and we're not decisive in what we're doing. So now Lee comes, and now we have to like look to leave just because he's here now.
Right.
So what we wanted to do here is put our E down early, and then Gale Force early as well. So as soon as we get into the bush, I don't think they've got wards in here, so get into the bush and then Gale Force, and it'll mean that the Leona will miss her E.
Right.
Because she managed to get it on at 0, and it just kind of went a little bit rough.
And I guess it's most of the time better to use your E sort of perpendicular to the way they're pathing to you, huh?
Yeah. So you want to
Like,
kind of get it in the way that they're going to be walking towards you, so that they either walk into it and get stunned,
have to path the
or
longest around it.
or they have to go around. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
You also, a good thing to note is also use terrain too, because that'll kind of technically extend it, you know. Because it's like, say for example, let's wait. So say for example, if they're here, they've got no mobility, say it's Swain, and you're here, what you can do is you can put your E like this, and then he'll have to go all the way around here,
Right.
instead of just going like this, you know.
Yeah.
So again, we're just looking to clear it off. The tower is super low. so we can be a little bit more risky. Um, like we could have blue warded in the kind of entrance there, but ideally, like we're just looking to get this tower and just leave with the movement speed. But then as soon as Lee shows mid, we can clear the wave as well. Also, in
And
terms of
it's
those,
funny. Hmm?
oh, we kind of missed that as well, the cannon, which was pretty important. But in terms of the Krugs earlier as well, if the Warwick isn't pathing towards them, you can just take them. But yeah, what were you saying?
Okay.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's kind of funny. I'm realizing how much I play unlocked, like
Yeah,
on
it
this
was
replay.
almost the entire game, to be honest.
Yeah.
So this was unlucky, slightly off E placement, but it doesn't matter because
Okay.
again, Gale Force, and this was the exact reason why we went it because
Right.
otherwise we're dead there. If we have Kraken, like we're dead and we don't get a kill.
Hmm.
But here, what you should be doing is looking instantly bot, just see what's happening.
Right.
Also use your F keys too.
Right.
So like just F key over Morg, see okay, is there anything you can do? If the answer is
Hmm.
no, then it's fine. But
And I guess once you're holding an F key, you can just click anywhere on the screen and you're pathing to him anyway. So
yeah, exactly. Like what I'll do as well is say for example if I want to like F key over a lane while I'm like clearing, like I'll just know like what HP the minion is at for me to like finish it, and then you can like pan the camera elsewhere and just A click even if you're looking elsewhere and it'll still like you'll click
right.
the nearest thing to you.
Okay.
Okay, unfortunate Vel'Koz. Another thing you can do in those situations too, when you've got somebody like Vel'Koz coming to take the cannon, is your W is a soft auto reset. So if you auto, then W, your next auto will come out
W auto.
faster. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So there you just auto W and then auto it, and you would have actually got that. The Camille is just griefing there, to be honest. But we do have PD in base. So this is a big spike. PD second is super good. Gives you AD, attack speed, and it's just broken. It's such a strong item. That
Right.
movement speed and ghosting is super important.
Mm.
And then obviously once you've got 4 autos, you get another 30% attack speed, which is huge. 55% attack speed off a single item is crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Especially considering it's so cheap as well.
Right.
2600 is kind of crazy for what it
Yeah.
gives. Obviously, there's the argument that it does have a cooldown, but like it,
Mm.
like it,
Still
as long as
feels really good.
yeah, as long as you're in a fight constantly. Actually,
Right.
does it? Mm,
It's pretty short if it does.
yeah, I'm not sure it does actually. Let me just clarify. No, it actually doesn't.
Mm.
So it
Even more
doesn't.
value.
Yeah. So really good. I could have sworn it had a cooldown. My bad. But yeah, like it's super good.
Hmm.
So I think this was no, it wasn't here. There was a fight in this area, so it's kind of
Because
risky
it.
walking that
Yeah.
way. But again, this is another example of why Gale Force is ridiculously broken. Like
Right.
again, a little bit of a
If the E.
yeah, little bit of a risky E. But so
Right.
here, see the W range. Like well, actually, we would have had to hit the W. So if we'd hit the W, we could have ulted down and killed him.
Right.
But like so at this point now, this fight bot lane is pointless. Like we're never gonna get there in time, or we're never really gonna impact it. So what you want to do here is you want to clear the mid wave, clear the chicken camp, don't clear these top camps because Warwick's gonna be dead anyway. And just maximize the amount of gold that you have. Like coming down late is like obviously you got zoned away by the Swain, so there's nothing like you could have done in this situation that would have
Right.
actually benefited them. But
I lose a lot from that alone.
yeah, like the amount of gold you could have actually got from there, like it would have been pretty good.
Right.
Because now, like if they're good as well, what they do is they clear all that topside jungle, and they maximize their profits from that one fight.
Right.
So it's about not only benefiting you but also denying them.
Hmm.
So it's a shame we didn't have ult there, but again, mid prio is always pretty important. Like as ADC, going into a side lane isn't really an option. So unless it's like super free, right? So most of the time you want to just focus on getting mid prio and then rotate as a group to whatever you want to go to. Same kind of
Okay.
concept as when you're playing a mage as well, because they're squishy too. Say for example, if you're something like an Oriana or this Vel'Koz, a lot of the times people will make the mistake of say going into a side lane and trying to say farm a wave, and then they get the wave, but they also die because they're a squishy mage who's
Right.
immobile. So what you do is you kind of push down mid as a group, and then you move as a group to the next place, get prior there, move as a group. But like here, for example, like just go and take these camps. So as soon as you see
Hmm.
where the Warwick is pathing towards, he's pathing towards bot, right? So we know, okay, we go,
You take
we
top
get,
side.
yeah, we probably get Raptors as well, to be honest. But
Right.
get Raptors, get top camps because we're getting close to our IE. So as ADC, your main goal is to get to IE, and obviously we've died 5 times this game. But without them deaths, we would have been looking towards IE, or potentially around now. Um, which again would give us a massive power spike. So your goal is that 25 minutes. If you can get 3 items by then, you're in a very good position. So just maximize your gold income. Obviously, don't grief it. Like if, say, for example, a jungler is pathing towards a camp, don't just take it in front of them.
Yeah.
But like, well, it depends, right? Say, for example, you're like 150 gold off IE, like ping it and then take the camp.
Right.
And
Right.
if they decide to grief and smite it away, then they're kind of losing out. Especially
Yeah.
when you're playing something
An
like
ego thing
Jinx.
at that point.
Yeah, and this is the
Yeah.
thing as well. When there's something like a Warwick, like one of the things that a lot of junglers don't really grasp is that if, say, for example, you take one camp, it gets you an IE spike. Like in theory, they have to A, do less damage, and B, tank for less time in a team fight because you're doing significantly more damage, right? So it's kind of
Right.
a lot of players just don't really grasp many concepts, to be honest. But
Yeah.
so this is okay. We can't really do anything there. But again, we're just trying to get to that AE. So we do unlock a little bit, but see, one of the things here as well is even when we do unlock, because we're not used to being on unlocked, like it's very choppy, right? So it's like, for
Hmm.
example, you just nudged up when it's like you should only really be nudging around this area.
Right.
And yeah, when you're playing on unlocked, sorry, like nudging is the easiest way. So what you want to do, for example, is say for like there's a fight here and you're on unlocked. Say you want to just walk up. What you do is you nudge and then you just click here, and then you'd nudge, and then you click here, and that will walk you forward, but you'll also have your camera in the right kind of position. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then obviously you can still a click wherever. Like you can obviously go back. Say for example, if you start getting flanked, you can obviously reset your camera to you. But in general, like nudging and clicking is super important. Obviously, remember as well that S will stop you. Um,
Right. I use that a lot.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
playing Draven especially.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So here, this was a big fight. This could have turned a lot, actually. So right here, this is the point where we do,
Bad pathing.
yeah, a little bit. Again, the click's a little bit rough there. We had to use Gale Force defensively, which is okay. But here, this is where we go nuts, right? Because
Right.
they're focusing on the Warwick and very, very hard. So what we want to do, let's just play this fight down a little bit slower because this was a point where you could have cleared the entire map.
Yeah, 100%. I After that fight was over, I was kind of a
Yeah,
little frustrated because I played that really choppy.
it's okay. It's okay. So
Yeah.
this is fine. We get the kill. We get the pom. Presence of mind. Sorry. We've also got heal here. So here we just walk up and we just do damage to the Leona. We could have also healed too, and just allow the Warwick to
Kept him
survive a little
alive
bit
a little
longer.
longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, we could have potentially cleaned up here, but again, it's kind of one of the things like these fights. It could have gone your way, but you also have to play them like perfectly for that to happen. Which is the goal, right? We want to aim for perfection and kind of go from there. But this is the thing, even with like tilted games like this, you want to kind of use like situations like that to be like, okay, well, even though the lane went rough, it wasn't the best. Like this was still a situation where I could have turned it, so
Hmm.
it's a good motivator because it's like, okay, you did something a little bad, which could have potentially changed the game, but So here
Right.
we have IE, so 625 is the key point. So at this point, again, you push this wave in and just go and take the camps. Also, another thing, your W grants vision. So what you can do is you can W the camp for vision, and then you can
Start
instantly
queuing the.
queue. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like for example, with the chickens, you could do that, and it just saves you some time, which can be pretty important.
Right.
So yeah, just queue the big one and W the big one, and then just queue it.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have IE. So now we're strong, right? Like we can actually heavily impact fights. Um, but so we did kind of switch focus there. We should probably stuck on Vayne, but she did have shield
Right.
bow as well. Our flash was okay.
Yeah.
Warwick's not there, obviously, but
It's kind of a reactive flash to his.
yeah,
Even though I
which is
probably could have just dodged his. Right.
yeah, well, you could have, but I mean, it's okay. This was kind of rough. You kind of locked yourself, but see here the E.
Oh yeah, I
So
remember there the E
yeah,
locked the
so
lead. I think.
the E down meant that the lead thing. So what you also want to do is a lot of the time, like when you're in fights and stuff, you can also use your E to kind of give you more space to kind of work with. So you can use it as
Mm-hmm.
kind of like terrain, which can be like super good as well. The ult was very rough, but why do you think we missed the ult there?
Probably because locked camera.
Yeah, yeah, it was 100%. You see,
Yeah.
we can't actually see them.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't see anyone at all throwing that.
So it's like it does like it will change your game massively
Huge
just by learning
hindrance.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we kind of didn't focus on the Leona, which was a little bit rough.
Yeah. Could have just ran around, but
Yeah, and then we got kind of caught by the sign.
yeah.
But yeah, so overall a little bit choppy, but again, like I said, there's so much to take away from this game that like it was a really really good one to kind of
Mm-hmm.
go over. So yeah, so I'll stop the recording there.